Back in South Florida are the Fish, ready for a nice long homestand and a 3-game series against the first place Philadelphia Phillies. The Fish are 4 over 500. That equals their high water mark. Chad Tracy's in the lineup. So is BD, but the Phillies are hot. Mike Stanton, incredibly hot. That's the guy they're facing tonight, Joe Blanton. Can Hanley and the Fish get to Blanton and Utley and the Phillies? That is the question, and a lot of it on the shoulders of Andrew Miller. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. The biggest news around the Marlins today is the fact that Josh Johnson has been shut down for the rest of the season, compounding what is a shortage of starting pitchers for the Fish.
You know, I know both of us had a chance to talk to JJ before the game. He actually did it in a game against St. Louis in a pitch that he threw to Jake Westbrook. He felt a little something in his back, and it's more back than shoulder, and I think it's a great idea. There's no sense getting him ready for 1 or 2 starts, so for the rest of the year, the Marlins will be without JJ.
So without Nolasco, without Johnson, Chris Volstad and Alex Sanabia are serving their suspensions. So this is what the Marlins have rotation-wise for the Phillies in this 3-game set.
This is not the way you'd like to map it out, but you have to play the hand you're dealt. So Andrew Miller tonight against Blanton. Alberto Mendez against Cole Hamels, who was outstanding against the Marlins in Philadelphia. And a big question mark, a TBA for the Wednesday game. Oh, yeah, and that question mark gets to pitch against Mr. Perfect, Roy Halladay, in the game on Wednesday.
You know, one of the amazing stats about this game in the matchup against Blanton, there is not a Marlin in uniform that has homered against Joe Blanton. He's pitched well against the Fish.
Yeah, he has. No decision against the Marlins in Philadelphia. He's a guy that's a little sneaky, a little short-arm type delivery, and he's also pitched very well in this ballpark. He's 2-0 at Sun Life Stadium with an ERA of 1.50.
Okay, there you have it. So Blanton gets the ball for the Phils, Andrew Miller for the Fish, and of course the Phillies and the Braves in a death match struggle right now for the top spot in the East and the wild card spot. When we get back, we'll break down the East race. Will it be the Braves? Will it be the Phillies? And will the Marlins have a hand in what happens? That's all coming up as the Fish and the Phillies get set to go. Sports Florida is brought to you by Toyota. Toyota, moving forward. And by AT&T. Find out what's possible with the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, rethink possible. Marlins back in town. They were in Philadelphia. And then a 3-game sweep in Washington. Arrive home to face the Phillies. Will it be the Phillies? Will it be the Braves? Will it be both? For answers, here's Craig and Niner.
Yeah, we're going to give you the answers with 18 to go, Rich. Hi, everybody. Boy, you got to like the Phillies. I don't know how Atlanta's going to knock them off, but somehow Atlanta has not only hung in there when you thought they were going to go down, they get big hits. They're a game out. Both have 18 games to go. They play the same opponents. Who do you like, Niner?
Well, I'm going to go with the Phillies just because I played with them in 2006. They got the same core group of guys, Victorino, Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins. You got the big man over at first base, Ryan Howard, with the addition of Roy Halladay and Oswalt down the stretch. I think with that veteran leadership and the way those guys play together, I got to give my nod to the Phillies.
I agree. Can Atlanta hang on and win the wild card as well? They do have 6 games against each other, including the final 3 in Atlanta. Allison has more with the Philly perspective.
Well, actually, I talked to some of the Marlins about who they thought would win the division. I should say they all said themselves initially, but when asked to pick between the Phillies and the Braves, they all thought it would be really close. Gabby said he'd give the nod to the Phillies just because they have that veteran players and the good overall club. Also agreed the Phillies would win. He just feels like without Chipper Jones, it's going to be tough for the Braves. They'll miss his presence in the field and in the order. And Wes Helms, also, he thought, though, the Braves would win. He said, I like both these clubs, but I have a special spot in my heart for Bobby Cox. I'm rooting for the Braves to win, and I think that'll be enough motivation for these guys to get it done for Cox in his final year. Guys.
All right. Thank you, Allison. I talked to Charlie Manuel. He said, boy, Prado kills us. McCann kills us. I picked Infante, really controversially, for the All-Star team as a super utility guy. He loves the way the Braves play him, and he said no matter what, the Braves play us very close every time we play them, much like the Marlins against the Phillies. We're getting set right here for Florida and Philadelphia, final 3 meetings of the year between these 2 teams. Most of the games been closer than the overall season set. The Phillies have won 10 of 15, but the Marlins would like to change that tune in this 3-game series. Rich and Tommy will have the call coming up next.
In the East, a game lead over Atlanta. We'll be keeping an eye on the Nationals and the Braves for you tonight as well. Shane Victorino in center. Placido Polanco with a bone spur in his elbow. And look at Victorino is hot right now. Chase Utley's hot. Ryan Howard's hot. Jason Worth is not. Raul Ibanez has perked to life. Carlos Ruiz is having a career year. Wilson Valdez for the injured Jimmy Rollins, and Joe Blanton hits ninth.
Rich, it's going to be quite a test for Andrew Miller, and I should say the clean-shaven Andrew Miller as he gets ready to work against the Phillies. The Phillies, since game 1 of that doubleheader, remember they had just 1 run and 3 hits. Since that game, they've gone 5-1. They've averaged 6.5 runs a game, and they've hit .343 with runners in scoring position. So Charlie Manuel has his team on a pretty good roll. Andrew Miller, the whole key I talked with Brad Davis, his catcher. The whole key for Andrew tonight, he's got to get first pitch strike and then work from there.
He's got to get Shane Victorino out as well. Victorino is 10 for 20 against Miller. And here we go. First pitch, fastball. You hear Sam Holbrook call strike one with Greg Gibson, Brian Knight, and Jerry Davis out on the bases. Victorino goes after that next pitch, hits it in the air to center. No Cameron Maven out there. Maven is ill, and so Emilio Bonifacio in the lineup late. Here's that defense, Tommy.
We'll take a look at the defense on a beautiful night here in South Florida. There's Morrison, Bonifacio, and Mike Stanton. What a road trip Mike had. Tracy at third, Hanley and Ugle up the middle. Gabby Sanchez, welcome back, Gabby, in the lineup after serving his suspension. And BD behind the plate.
Here's Polanco now. And he takes a strike. You see that left elbow, he's got a little bit of a brace and a pad on it. He apparently has been playing with a painful bone spur in that elbow for some time now, and he dribbles it down the first baseline. Gabby steps on the bag, and Miller has 2 quick outs.
2 quick outs, lots of strikes. And remember, last time out for Andrew, 4 innings, 11 hits, and 7 runs. And yes, it was against the Philadelphia Phillies, but a good start because he's thrown lots of strikes.
Here's where things get sticky a little bit for Andrew. The left-handed bat start for the Phillies. Utley with Howard behind him, and Ibanez 4 hitters away. And Utley has started to hit, of course, on the disabled list for some time with the thumb injury. Actually had surgery on that thumb, and the Phillies feel he's just getting back to being Chase Utley, which for them is pretty special. He's been a terrific player, a perennial all-star starter, an outstanding postseason player. Miller out in front, 0-1. Andrew working very quickly. He's on the mound. He's not walking around. Gets the ball and he throws it. He's out in front, 0-2.
That pitch is much more effective after the first pitch fastball strike. So 3 for 3 getting that first pitch over.
Edwin Rodriguez in the middle. Randy St. Clair. Brandon Hyde, the bench coach. Here's the 0-2. Fastball. Utley just got a piece of it, and he fouls it off.
You made a good point, Rich, in our talks with Charlie Manuel. He says the same thing. Everybody just starting to get back. Utley starting to swing the bat a little better. Remember, Howard spent time on the DL with an ankle sprain. He's starting to swing the bat a little better.
And as Jeff Conine pointed out, this is a core group that's been together since 05 with Utley and Rollins. Although Rollins is not in the lineup, a strained hamstring. That's what the MRI showed today in Philadelphia. He'll rejoin the team, probably won't play in this series.
It's been a tough year for Jimmy Rollins. The calf has acted up. He's had problems with that. Now a hamstring.
And the hamstring injury happened against the Marlins when the Fish were in Philadelphia. Here's the 0-2 coming. Breaking ball. That one almost caught the plate. You saw Utley turn away from it. He crowds the plate so much that you lose a little bit of perspective sometimes. But for Miller, the first ball that he's thrown in this ball game. This is pitch number 10 coming. That just missed. And again,
it's tough to miss inside. If you miss inside with Utley, it's either going to hit him or find the inside corner. So this was somewhere in between.
That's
a strike.
That's what I mean.
That's where you have to pitch Chase Utley, and that's a strike. He should be headed back to the dugout.
That's what I mean by you lose perspective because he's so close to the plate. And he goes
good,
after a tailing fastball.
Good job. He came right back in there.
Miller goes 1, 2, 3 through the first. Fish coming up against Joe Blanton. Fish, 4 games over, having won 3 in a row in Washington. Bonifacio is hot. He leads it off. Logan Morrison will follow. Hanley Ramirez hits 3rd. Dan Uggla in the cleanup spot. Nice to have Gabby back hitting 5th. Mike Stanton with 5 homers on the road trip. Chad Tracy at 3rd. Brad Davis catching. Andrew Miller hits 9th. And Joe Blanton takes aim at Emilio Bonifacio. Cameron Maben originally in the lineup, but scratched with an illness. And so Bonifacio finds himself in center field facing Joe Blanton.
Now, there are the numbers on Joe Blanton. He's allowed 2 earned runs or less in 4 of his last 5 outings, so he's on a pretty good roll.
Runs that one away from Bonifacio.
Mixes it up. He mixes it up. He usually throws strikes.
See the average up to 320. Thanks to an 8-game hitting streak. I heard Sam Holbrook say it was out. Bonifacio has been fabulous in those 8 games. 17 hits, 10 runs. Little tapper foul, and the count is 2-2. He's played well defensively everywhere he's been, in center field, at second base, at shortstop, at third base.
Yeah, I talked to him and I said, I know you just like to be in the lineup, but where's your favorite place to play? And he said center field.
That ball's up too, and that's a pitch that Bonifacio used to swing at on almost every occasion. But a lot of the drills that John Maley has done with him have eliminated that pitch. Flips a little fly ball that is foul. In all the drills they do with Bonifacio, whether it's soft toss, whether it's batting practice, about a month and a half ago, the switch was made. Anything up, you don't swing at. And they started purposely pitching him up in BP and throwing him soft toss up when he was in the cage, just to test him. And it's made, I think, a huge difference. He's made a few tweaks in his swing as well, Tommy. But
well, we had a good demonstration of that, Niner and Craig on Marlins Live, showing how the position of his hands have changed a little bit to help him. He's flattened out the bat, helps him stay on top of the ball.
3-2, breaks his bat. Howard over towards the line, steps on the bag. Phillies defensively tonight.
All right, there it is. You've seen this before. Ibanez, Victorino, and Worth. Polanco and Howard at the corners. Wilson Valdez getting a lot of opportunities to start at short with Jimmy Rollins out. Utley at second, and Carlos Ruiz behind the plate.
So an 8-pitch at bat for Bonifacio to open up the ball game. And here is Morrison. And Logan takes up and in. He was 1 for 3 with a double against Blanton. You can see that left eye is starting to clear up. The last time he was in this ballpark, he was rolling around in absolute agony in the on-deck circle after getting hit by the Bonifacio line drive. Blanton's not real happy with the strike zone right now, but the count's 2-0.
A couple of times that he's missed. He missed in the same area to Bonifacio, was outside.
Blanton out of Kentucky, University of. Oh, Lomo was sitting on a fastball, and he went after the changeup.
That's the adjustment that the young hitters make. You're in Double-A, 2-0. 90% of the time, you're going to see that 2-0 fastball. A little different situation here.
That one ends up in the seats, and the count's 2-2.
We'll look in on the scouting report for the 29-year-old right-hander. He'll elevate the fastball. Even though he's not overpowering, he'll go up with 2 strikes. Difficult to run on. He's quick to the plate. And, yeah, he's a solid innings guy. 6 or more innings, 18 of his 24 starts.
The running joke around the Phillies is that after the Phillies don't score any runs for Roy Oswalt, the next day they score mega runs for Joe Blanton.
Oswalt didn't need many the other day.
And the Phillies really have not supported Oswalt since he's come over, but Blanton is a different story, and he comes after Oswalt. They've scored 53 runs in his last 8 starts. That's why his last loss was way back in July, on July 21st.
Romo, a slow hopper out towards Utley, who scoops it and just gets Morrison. Blanton came down off the mound kind of awkwardly after that ball.
Good play by Utley. Blanton couldn't quite get there, and Utley, we saw Dan Uggla with a flip like that in Washington.
That's a great look in Exmo.
Just in time. Yeah, he talked about Roy Oswalt. Even though the Phillies haven't scored much for him, as a Philly in his 9 starts, he's 6-1 with a 1.98 ERA.
And things are setting up nicely for the Phillies if they can get to the postseason, because Halladay is Halladay. Cole Hamels has reverted back to his 2008 form. And you got Oswalt, who's smoking hot and has pitched well in the postseason in his career as well. Charlie Manuel is the best in the business over the last 4 years at managing after the All-Star break. 3 consecutive National League East titles. And, of course, 2 consecutive trips to the World Series. Well, Blanton's fallen behind everybody. He's 2-0 on Hanley now. He went with a 2-0 changeup to Morrison. Let's see what Hanley gets. Same pitch. Hanley didn't offer, and it's 3-0.
As a hitter, you file that away. A little pattern that Blanton has going. I'm sure next time around, though, he'll probably change things himself.
Uggla waits on deck. Fastball, Hanley jumped on it into left field for a base hit. So the Marlins have a hit, and up comes Uggla.
A little green light for Hanley on the 3-0. 4-game hitting streak now. And a solid swing. 4 for 14 in his career now against Joe Blanton.
One of the odd numbers about this matchup, Marlins against Blanton. Blanton's 4-2 with a 3.35 ERA. There is not a Marlin in uniform who has homered against Blanton.
Which is kind of surprising because Blanton has allowed 22 home runs on the year.
Absolutely. He's a guy that gives up home runs. Now, Uggla in his career has not hit Blanton well at all. He's just 3 for 17 with 5 strikeouts. Dan takes a fastball at the knees for a strike, and it's 0-1. Uggla 8 for 29 on the road trip, and he's upped his RBI total to 90. Still sitting on 29 homers with Hanley at first and 2 outs. Flips up a breaking ball, and it's 1-1.
You love the consistency of Dan Uggla. I'd like to go back to our comments probably in our preseason show back in spring training. When you talk about Dan Uggla and his track record, he'll give you 30 and 90.
In the dirt, Hanley's going to take the base. Ruiz fires it down to second, and Hanley is in there.
Good job. Great jump by Hanley. Good instincts. As soon as that ball hit the dirt, just get it away a little bit. He's on the balls of his feet. He was ready to go. He got a great jump. There was no play by Ruiz.
So it's 2-1 to Uggla. I think the words that you used on the preseason special for Uggla is write it in your books. Just write it in there in pen. He's good for 30 homers. He's good for 90 RBIs.
So he's 1 away from 30, and he's already at 90.
92 is his RBI high in his career. 3-1 coming. Fastball's up. Uggla takes his walk. That's going to bring Gabby up, and he's been chomping at the bit for the last 3 ball games, having to watch the game from in the clubhouse because he's been suspended.
And also chomping at the bit, I think, a little bit because he did not have a great series in Philadelphia prior to going to Washington. He was just 2 for 15. So Gabby rested, ready to go. He was able to take batting practice on the field in Washington before the games.
Breaking ball and a strike to Gabby. He's faced Blanton just that once in Philly. He was 1 for 4 against him. Got Hanley at second, Uglid at first. Marlins trying to get on the board against Joe Blanton. They forced him to throw 25 pitches at the very least. And he's 0-2 on Sanchez. But it's not as if the Phillies lack for bullpen arms. They are well stocked, much like the Braves. 35 men on their roster.
Their shelves are a lot more stocked than the Marlins right now.
There are standing room only in the bullpen for the Phillies. Here's the 0-2. Change-up. Great pitch by Blanton, and it caught Gabby looking. Marlins leave a couple. We're scoreless.
With their big lefty bat in the lineup, Ryan Howard, but especially against the Marlins. When you look at the 12 games he's played against the Fish, and there's 7 wins, he's hitting .393 with 3 home runs and 11 RBI. In their 5 losses, he's hitting just .111, 2 for 18, no home runs and no RBI. Bad news for the Fish, though, guys. In the last 5, he's hitting over .400 with 3 home runs, 2 doubles, and 11 ribbies. So Howard is feeling very good of late, guys.
You're right, Allison. He's one of those guys that all of a sudden has come back to being the Ryan Howard that everybody in the National League knows.
Well, that's right. He had a big 3-run homer against Andrew Miller in Philly the last time they met. I like the way Andrew's working inside. He struck out Chase Utley on a good fastball in, tied up Ryan Howard right there for strike 2.
0-2 pitch coming. Breaking ball misses outside. In case you just joined us, the news today around the Marlins, Josh Johnson has been shut down for the rest of the season with that mid-back strain. His shoulder is fine. Oh, gorgeous pitch. Andrew Miller has retired the first 4 he's faced.
It just all goes back to the fact that he's 4 for 4 in first pitch strikes. And then he's able to set hitters up. Boy, he freezes a really good hitter right there.
Here comes Jason Worth with Raul Ibanez to follow. See the season numbers against the Marlins, hitting just .180 with a homer and 4 RBIs. Miller gets a high strike. It's 0-1.
Safe to say the Marlins have really held Worth in check.
But you saw the season number, so you know that holding him in check is not easy, and at any moment he can come out of it.
Yeah, 44 doubles on the year for Worth. I was surprised, Rich, and I think it's because Worth got off to a great start. Raul Ibanez got off to a real slow start. Ibanez right now has more RBIs than Jason Worth.
1-2. Way out in front of it. And, of course, for Worth, that many people have speculated that this year his contract status, he's a free agent after this year. No contract extension from the Phillies yet. But that's been weighing on him, and whenever he's been asked about it, he's been pretty blunt and denied that. Hits that ball pretty well down the right field line. It's twisting and turning. It is gone. He just snuck it out. Well, he's that type of hitter. You can't keep him down forever. A very unlikely spot for Jason Worth to hit a home run down the right field line.
Yeah, it just shows you the kind of power he has. He came into this game also 0 for 11. That pitch is up in the zone. A mistake, and so far Andrew Miller hasn't made any early in this game. But he pays for that mistake, the home run by Worth.
No first pitch strike to Ibanez. It's 1-0. Raul is home in Miami.
Got his fan club, friends, and family here in attendance.
Looking forward to another postseason. Chance to play in his first World Series last year. Scalds one that Gabby picks up. And Ibanez is out. For a limited time, you can win a private party for your office at the new Marlins Ballpark Sales Headquarters. Just email saleshq@marlins.com with your contact information to enter. It's a private catered party with mermaids, Marlins alumni, and more. 1-877-411-2012. And what office party wouldn't be livened up by the mermaids and Marlins alumni?
Sounds like a good day to me.
Not your average day at the office. The 1-1. Ruiz hits a changeup foul. Tracy was hugging the line. And the count's 1-2.
Little baseball talk around the water cooler.
Yeah. The other thing that happened for the Marlins today is Chris LaRue was claimed off waivers by the Pittsburgh Pirates. Here's the 1-2 pitch. A liner into left, a base hit for Ruiz. And all of a sudden, the Phillies have hit the last 3 balls very hard. The homer by Worth, Ibanez out, and Ruiz is single. Chris LaRue claimed by the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Marlins took him off of the 40-man roster, which means there is a spot open on the 40-man roster, and the Marlins are looking for, in their system, a pitcher to join the ball club for tomorrow and for Wednesday.
Well, certainly that bullpen is going to need assistance. And in talking with Edwin Rodriguez, he can't really decide or determine who's going to start the game Wednesday because a lot of it depends on who he has to use Monday and Tuesday. I think in a perfect world, he'd like to say, okay, Baden-Hop and Jorge Sosa. Piggyback those two.
Hanley can't get it on the dive. Bonifacio picks it up. And the Phillies have another base hit. Up comes Blanton.
But you can't say that because you might have to use Burke Baden-Hop and Jorge Sosa in games 1 and 2 of this series. So another well-hit ball. Wilson Valdez has done a real nice job of filling in, not only for Jimmy Rollins, but he's filled in some at second, some at third base.
Here now is Blanton. And so Miller has an escape hatch if he can use it to get out of this second inning. And all of a sudden, Tommy, that pattern of first pitch strikes has abandoned him.
Boy, and what a difference it made when he was throwing first pitch strikes. Remember, the first inning, he was 3 out of 3. Then he had a couple. He started 5 out of 5, but since that, he's just 1 out of 4.
One pitch back to Miller, who makes the catch and holds on. A Jason Worth homer, his 21st of the season. as the Phillies on the board. 1-0. Next AB against Zimmerman. Fastball, lost that one too. Pair of home runs in the ball game. And our Geico quote is from Dan Ugla, who knows a thing or two about home runs. It's mind-boggling to see what he can do at age 20. We've all seen the kind of damage he can do when he gets hot like this. And Blanton misses down low to Stanton.
I remember my kid a home run in each of the games of the doubleheader in Philadelphia. So 4 home runs this year against the Phillies.
He got a bat and a ball headed out towards short. And Valdez picks the ball wisely and throws out Mike Stanton. Here comes Chad Tracy with Brad Davis to follow. Trace getting the start at third base against the right-hander, Blanton. More news and notes from baseball today. The Reds made a trade to add some depth and versatility, bringing Willie Bloomquist from the Royals aboard for their stretch run. Johan Santana will have surgery on Tuesday, shoulder surgery. The Mets are saying that hopefully he will be back and ready to pitch in April, though they'll know more after the surgery. It's a torn anterior capsule in his left shoulder.
And as we've talked about over the years, shoulder surgery seems to, at times, be a little more demanding and a little tougher on pitchers than Tommy John, than elbow surgery.
Which I think was one of the main reasons there was a huge red flag as soon as Josh Johnson felt some tenderness in his shoulder, trying to battle through a sore back. And it's 2-2. Two coming. Pulls it on the ground towards Utley. And he'll flip it on over to first.
I think one of the interesting numbers on Blanton is the fact that he gives up home runs. He's given up 22. Yet he's pitched better at home in a home run hitter's park. At home, he's 4-2, an ERA in the 4s. On the road, he's 2-4 and has an ERA over 6.
Here's Brad Davis. He had a home run in Washington. Glenn catches the corner with a changeup for a strike. It's 0-1. Davis has done a very nice job behind the plate as well as at the plate. He's come up with big hits, sacrifice flies. He's a good situational hitter.
Well, the other thing, I think I mentioned this the other night. He started 15 games, and the ball club is 10-5 in his starts.
Dribbles one up the middle. Valdez won't get it. And Davis has got himself a base hit. Looked like Valdez was priming his feet for a catch and spin, and he never made the catch, so there was no need for the spin.
Yeah, you're right. He was trying to get his feet ready to make the throw, but then again, you have to catch it before you make that throw. Feet, the ball skidded and kind of stayed down on him. Should be a base hit, and it is.
Andrew Miller is up, and Blanton misses. So the Fish have a couple of hits, 3 base runners now against Blanton. But a Jason Worth home run is the difference in this ball game. Change up. It's 1-2. Two balls, 2 strikes. Phillies here. The Marlins have an off day on Thursday. Then the Cubs are here. Cubs with some news today. Jeff Smarja has been added to their rotation. He'll take a start in that Cubs rotation, which means that if they stay on turn and he stays in the rotation, the Marlins will see the former Notre Dame All-American wide receiver.
You know, one of the guys that's really picked it up is Carlos Zambrano. He's been pitching tremendously.
Two and two to Andrew. Davis is at first. Line drive. Howard was right there. Marlins leave another. It's 1-0. Our Toyota trend here in the third. Think about this one. The Phillies have won 10 of the last 12 road games and have outscored their opponents 57-31. Good numbers on the road. Pete McCannon next to Charlie Manuel.
Good baseball man, former manager. I think that kind of goes against everybody thinks, well, they play in that smaller ballpark. They're a real good home team. Well, they play well on the road, too.
Oh, just off the glove of Hanley. And Victorino opens up the third with a hit. Andrew Miller like a hot knife went right through the Phillies lineup in the first, a 1-2-3 inning. Then he struck out Ryan Howard. But after the Worth home run, it seems like every ball the Phillies have hit has been hit hard.
That one just high enough that Hanley couldn't get to. We see him time line drive so well that when he timed well, it's just a little bit over the glove. Victorino now 11 for 22 against Andrew Miller.
Here's Polanco. His offensive numbers have tailed off with the elbow injury, but he still is a great number 2 hitter. Bounces one up the middle. That's going to be 2. Hanley, good bounce by the Fish off the side of the mound, and it brought it right up to Hanley and brought him right to the bag.
Well, that's a break. Another well-hit ball. Hit on the nose. We like to tell you, too, it's our checkers double play of the game. Well, watch it hit the mound. Right there. Doesn't hit the mound, it probably scoots into center field. Hanley right there, and all of a sudden it becomes an easy 6-3 checkers double play of the game.
So here's Utley now.
So Andrew Miller's thrown 2 pitches and gotten 2 outs.
And he misses away to Utley. He struck Utley out on a low inside fastball back in the first. The Phillies in first by a game. In the West, the Giants and the Padres tied for first.
Rich, how about those Rockies?
Yeah, I was just about to say, the Padres have lost their lead, and it doesn't get easier because it's the Padres who go into Coors Field to face the Rockies, who have won 10 straight in that game tonight.
I mean, they're winning in all different ways. A walk-off, pinch hit, 2-run homer.
That ball is cranked to deep right, and that ball is gone.
Well, maybe similar to the one Giambi hit for the Rockies win last night. We told you about the 3-run homer that Ryan Howard hit against Andrew Miller in Philly. Chase Utley hitting his 2nd career home run against Andrew. And there was no doubt about that one.
He's back to being Chase Utley, isn't he?
Didn't quite get that one in. Remember, he worked him in very well his first time up. That short, quick, powerful stroke got it out in a hurry.
Last 14 games now, Utley hitting .370 with 3 homers and 16 RBIs. And here is Howard. The Giants are off tonight. I wonder if Aubrey Huff will be wearing his red thong underwear tonight, because the Giants, with 30 games left, Aubrey Huff said, we got to do something, and he broke out the red thong that apparently his wife gave to him as an anniversary present.
There's got to be something behind that story.
There are the standings. And they're 8-3 with the thong. So he's sticking with it.
Why not?
But I don't know what the ground rules are on an off night. You'd think he'd mix in like a hurricane colors.
Yeah, well, the off night, you may want to throw that in the wash.
Always a good idea. 3-1 coming. That ball is scorched. Ugla picks it up on a couple of hops, flips over to first in time. Phillies get another solo homer. This one from Chase Utley. 2-0. 411-2012 is the number to call. Schedule your appointment at the new sales headquarters. Go on down and get a chance to look around and see where your seat will be, what kind of view you have. If you are at home right now and you got the laptop going or the computer going, log on to Marlins.com, go to Ballpark on the top menu, and go to the 3D seat view, and you can see the view from any seat in the ballpark, and it's a very cool application. You can not only see what the field will look like, but you're able to look all around the ballpark from that seat's view. 0-2 is down low from Blanton. It's the top of the order for the Fish. Now, the Marlins have had opportunities against Blanton. Bonifacio, Morrison, and Hanley coming up here in the third.
They had a base hit and a walk in the first inning. Infield base hit by Brad Davis in the second. The thing that Blanton's used very well tonight has been his changeup. He's had a few of the Marlins hitters out in front.
That's the pitch that he got Gabby Sanchez on when the Marlins had a couple runners aboard in the first. Good tight breaking ball there, and Blanton strikes out Bonifacio.
Kind of like a cut fastball. You saw it just dart inside right at the last minute.
Well, the Phillies are probably scoreboard watching, so we can do it as well. The Atlanta Braves put 4 on the board in the bottom of the second and lead the Nationals 4-0. That's top of the third in Atlanta. Yuneski Maya, the Cuban pitcher, is going for the Nationals. Derek Lowe for the Braves. I'll tell you a guy that's hot right now for Atlanta that drove in a run tonight, Nate McLouth.
He has been on fire and is having a horrible year, still hitting below 200.
And remember, he's the guy that hit the ball with the bases loaded here that looked like a grand slam that Maben made the great catch on that turned into a 2-run sacrifice fly.
It's funny, all of a sudden, in that series, he swung the bat pretty well. Rick Ankiel did not. And so all of a sudden, McLouth now is playing a lot more center field than Ankiel.
3-0 to Lomo is up. And Morrison has now reached base in 33 straight games. And that's one of the longest streaks in baseball this year. It's currently the longest streak going. The longest this year is 42 games by Mark Teixeira of the Yankees. Joey Votto had a 41. And so Morrison now at 33. That's the third longest streak this year in Major League Baseball.
Well, 31 walks to go along with 35 strikeouts. And sets things up for Hanley Ramirez, who had a good swing back in the first inning for a single.
On a 3-0 fastball.
You were telling me, Rich, that you were reading where Jim Riggleman, the manager of the Nationals, kind of chewed out his ball club a little bit.
Yes, after the ball game yesterday, he aired him out, and just in reading reports about what he said from a variety of sources, as Morrison is back in, he was extremely upset with the way the Nationals played in the first 2 innings. And remember that pickoff throw at second where Bonifacio scored all the way from second? He was upset that neither the center fielder, Nigel Morgan, nor the right fielder, Mike Morse, nor the second baseman, Adam Kennedy, went after the ball all that hard. Because the ball glanced off of Kennedy's glove and just laid out in right center field, and Bonifacio scored easily. One, two. And down goes Hanley.
From a pretty good at bat first time up to a not so good at bat there for Hanley.
Now comes Uggla. Breaking ball is a strike to Uggla. And it's 0-1. Dan walked back in the first.
Victorino out there in center does not play real deep. Pretty much the same area for Hanley and for Dan Uggla.
I think that's one of the reasons Philly pitchers love him, and one of the reasons he's a Gold Glover is because, you know, there are great center fielders that don't play as shallow. Carlos Beltran is a great example. He's a guy that used to play deep and still does play deep. But Victorino plays up, and I think if you ask the pitcher, he'd rather have a guy that plays shallow than deep.
Get some of those little flares, those little pop flies that sometimes drop for base hits. Victorino gets to those, plus he goes back on balls really well. So you have to be confident in going back on balls to play shallow the way he does. I think he gets a little erratic at times, but I think overall he's a solid center fielder.
Uggla fouls it back. Where do you rank him in terms of center fielders in the game?
Well, in the National League, you have to go team by team. In the National League, he'd certainly be in the top 3, I would say.
I think Franklin Gutierrez of Seattle has kind of been the guy. He won the John DeHaan's Fielding Bible Award in center.
Michael Bourne in Houston won a Gold Glove. Got a lot of ground to cover in that ballpark. Can't factor Beltran into that anymore just because he hasn't played very much.
Uggla emergency swing on a 2-2 pitch. And it stays 2-2.
Yeah, it looked like that changeup again. He's a smart pitcher, 16-game winner for the Athletics back in '06. Had a good run with Oakland.
He wasn't part of the Big Three. He was part of the next wave after the Big Three that got Oakland to the American League Championship Series, where they lost to the Tigers. Uggla turns on that one and pulls it foul.
Think about it, Rich. The Phillies have been able to add a couple of times. In July of '08, they added Joe Blanton, and he pitched well once he joined the Phillies. This year, they've added Roy Oswalt. So they've done a nice job in putting some pieces together in just before the trading deadline.
And remember the guy they added last year, a guy by the name of Pedro Martinez. Uggla couldn't lay off that changeup in the dirt. Blanton strikes him out, and the Marlins have left 4.
Rich, thank you very much. Tonight, the Marlins are saluting a heroic policewoman by the name of Jody Wright, who 3 years ago to this day was shot on the job by a man who fired an AK-47, devastated her leg. The lady to the left in the orange is the widow of Jody's former partner, Jose Somajano, who was killed during that evening, shot dead by an AK-47 assailant. Now, Jody went through 17 surgeries on that leg to get back to work, and she did that for the first time today. And because she's a terrific policewoman, she's on off duty tonight, but working here, the Marlins game. We're going to try and visit with her later during the game. An amazing woman, and it's been a story well reported in the local newscasts, obviously, and in the newspaper. And we're going to talk with Jody in a little bit. Heroic return to the job today, 3 years today of that ugly incident. Guys?
And Craig, it was a great reaction by the crowd as everyone here, as you alluded to, it's been well reported. Everybody here knew the story, and to see her out there, she threw a strike on that first pitch.
Hey, she made a great pitch. You and I were up here getting ready, and we had our backs to the field, and all of a sudden I heard a tremendous ovation. You were wondering who was going out there, and that's who it was for. So that was certainly well deserved.
Jason Worth flying out to right. Raul Ibanez standing in the box. He had a sharp one-hopper Gabby's way. That back in the second. Ibanez and Ruiz against Miller. Andrew had a very nice first inning. And then the Phillies started to swing the bats. Worth hit a homer in the second. Utley hit a homer in the third. And that's the first walk issued by Miller.
Safe to say, the Phillies have had a lot better swings against Andrew Miller than the Marlins have had against Blanton. He's had a lot of right-handed hitters baffled with the changeup. And it's a pitch that lots of times righties don't see from righties. Usually they'll see that changeup from left-handers.
Miller gets a strike to Ruiz. He's singled back in the second. Chooch. Look at his last 10 games. He's hit the Marlins well. He's hit everybody well this year. His average up close to 300. And it's, for the Phillies, just an added bonus. They will take, and they have taken, Ruiz hitting 230, 240 in his career.
Well, they have such good offense everywhere else. And so anything he gives them, you're right, is a bonus. And he's given them a lot of bonuses this year.
He drives one to deep left field. That ball's not coming back. That's a blue seater. And the Phillies are teeing off on Andrew Miller now. A 2-run homer, a 4-0 lead. Third long ball by the Phillies tonight.
And more bonus points from Carlos Ruiz. More of a line drive hitter, number 7 on the year for him. But as soon as he hit that ball, he just put his head down. Took a quick peek, knew it was out right there, then put his head down, circled the bases.
That's the third homer he's hit against the Marlins this year. So 3 of his 7 homers this year have come at the Marlins' expense.
Phillies are teeing off on Andrew. The first 5 games he pitched, when he came up, he allowed just 2 home runs.
Morrison sent back to the track, plays it off the wall, and Bonifacio will pick it up. And I think if Lomo had to do that over again, he would have gone to the wall, because I think that was a catchable ball.
It's a tough call. We've seen him a couple of times get backed up to the wall, a little too close. Now he decides to back off when in fact he maybe had a shot. That ball hit just above Charlie Huff's head.
Look out, Charlie.
Look out, Charlie. Yeah, just on his shoulder.
But you're talking about a guy who's a first baseman still making the transition to playing left field. Good hustle by Bonifacio. He was right on the spot. And I think that's one thing that Logan will learn, too, is if he's got a guy like Bonifacio in center field or Cameron Maben that's fast, you can gamble on a ball like that as long as your center fielder has your back.
Because that's a great point. If he gambles and gets back there, doesn't make the catch, Bonifacio's there anyway. And worst thing that happens is Valdez has a double. And if he gambles and makes the catch, all of a sudden he's got the out.
Because Bonifacio ended up making the play anyways. 1-1 misses inside, and Miller has fallen behind Joe Blanton.
Yeah, so Andrew Miller giving up 2 home runs prior to tonight in 5 games. He's allowed 3 tonight.
So at this point in time, you've got the Phillies looking up at the scoreboard, and they see the Braves leading Washington 4-0 in the 4th. And in Atlanta, I'm sure the Braves are looking up to see the Phillies leading 4-0 in the 4th.
And there you have it again, the Phillies scoring runs for Joe Blanton.
That's the way it works. Roy Oswalt is going to have to throw 4-hit shutouts the rest of the way to get wins. Blanton goes down. Now Miller has to get a tough out in Victorino. Let's flip the phone, shall we? It's the 4th inning. We're contractually obligated, and we'd love to do it. We have full bars tonight. Most career stolen bases against the Fish. The Phillies are a good team to talk stolen bases about.
Certainly you're thinking a team like the Braves, the Phillies. Phillies steal more bases than Atlanta over the years.
Yeah, but you got the Mets, too. And
the Mets, they
like Jose Reyes.
Jose Reyes. Don't forget Rafael Furcal either in that mix.
As a Brave.
When he was a Brave. Of course, we're not getting much positive feedback on those 2 guesses.
We're not getting any feedback tonight from the truck.
I think we've lost transmission somewhere along. Oh, no, that was in Washington.
Oh, 2 to Victorino. Miller misses in. Tommy had the numbers after Victorino's last hit, 11 for 22 in his career against Andrew Miller. Reds are tied with Arizona tonight, 2-2 in the 3rd. Whoa, look out. That bat ended up inside the Phillies dugout, and that almost hit the on-deck hitter.
Polanco hit the dirt in a hurry and somehow eluded that bat.
Yikes. 4-0. relax with a nice cold Corona and lime. Enjoy a Corona today. Last time we were in this ballpark, we saw Logan Morrison get hit by a foul tip at home plate. You see the Phillies up 4-0. Watch this. This wasn't a foul tip, but Placido Polanco had to hit the deck. Charlie Manuel and Pete Mackanin right between them.
Charlie moving pretty good there.
Here's Gabby. Marlins have dug themselves a 4-0 hole against Joe Blanton. And as Tommy pointed out, Blanton's best pitch tonight's been that changeup.
Yeah, so many right-handers see that changeup often from a left-handed pitcher. And you just don't see too many right-handed pitchers use it to right-handed hitters. But Blanton's used it very well, and then every once in a while, like he did there, he'll go in with the fastball. The University of Kentucky.
Boy, Blanton has struck out 4 of the last 5 that he's faced.
That time he went with a breaking ball.
Mike Stanton coming up. All right, you're going to go for Call, Reyes, Rollins.
I'm going to go Reyes.
Jimmy.
You got J-Roll? Okay. Jimmy Rollins.
46 stolen bases. You talked about the fact that Stanton stands in, that the Phillies are able to take whatever they get from Ruiz because they get power and production all over the place. And Ruiz is a terrific defensive catcher. That's kind of where they are right now with Rollins as well. Rollins, a Gold Glove shortstop, but offensively has not had much of a year at all. Stanton hits that one out to Valdez, who's filled in quite well defensively.
But you're right. If you get the Gold Glove defense, then you get the long ball from Howard, Utley, Ibanez will give it to you, Worth. So then not too bad.
You got that left side of the infield, Gold Glove guys in Polanco and Rollins. Polanco, of course, won his at second base. But right now is the best fielding percentage in the National League at third base.
Yeah, he could very well win one at third base this year.
Lamb throwing a first pitch change up to Tracy. Chad is 0 for 1. He's bounced out. That one,
another one,
a strike.
He's got the good feel on that changeup tonight.
Just missed. Another changeup. So he's tripled up on changeups to Chad Tracy.
Yeah.
He's feeling that good about it. That was more of a batting practice fastball.
Yeah, and you see his fastball is not overpowering. It was 87. Cuts it a little bit. Interesting list, by the way. You know, we gave you the number 1 answer, Jimmy Rollins, most stolen bases against the Marlins. For call number 3, Reyes number 4. Bobby Abreu, number 2. 32 steals against the Marlins.
In his younger days.
Still going strong. Not so much stolen bases, but still going strong and having a solid year with the Angels.
Count's full.
Think he'll go with that changeup? Hey, went fastball.
Another 3-2. And this one, Ruiz squeezes. Blanton strikes out Tracy. He is rolling, this Joe Blanton. Adalberto Mendez, second career start against Cole Hamels, who was dynamite last time out for the Phils.
So was Mendez against Philadelphia. Gave it just one hit, no runs in 6 innings.
Live forward with Just for Men hair color. Here's Polanco. Polanco has turned into a nice acquisition by Ruben Amaro Jr., the general manager. A 3-year, $18 million deal. This the first year of. Bonifacio lines it up. And Miller has an out here in the 5th. Baker Concrete Super Saturday awaits. The Cubs are in town, a 7:10 start. And Gilberto Santa Rosa will be in concert with fireworks, all presented by AT&T. A Latin cowbell can be yours courtesy of Metro Ford, 1877 Marlins.
It was Andrew Miller, who was actually selected in the 3rd round out of high school, Buchholz High School in Gainesville. 3rd round by Tampa Bay. Decided to go on to UNC. Had a terrific career. University of North Carolina. Facing a Bruin from UCLA.
Chase Utley. Maybe that's why Jeff Conine is picking the Phillies to win the East. Not only was he a former Philly, but he and Utley share alma maters. Though Utley had a much better career at UCLA than Niner did. If you are not a big Marlin fan and don't know the story of Jeff Conine, he was a pitcher in college, and he'll tell you not a great one. And his pitching coach ended up working for the Kansas City Royals and convinced the Royals to select him.
Well, he knew of his athletic ability
As a position player. Niner, not only a pitcher, but actually a better racquetball player than a pitcher at UCLA. I think the scout's name was Guy Hansen.
Yes, it was.
And so Niner goes in the 89th round or whatever it was, and ends up becoming
it's a great
two-time world champion and
it's a great story.
All-Star Game MVP. And who would have known, as a guy that was a nondescript pitcher at UCLA. 3-2. Miller had the breaking ball, thought he had a strike.
Tell you what, he threw some pretty good pitches to Chase Utley and didn't get the calls. Good breaking ball. I'm guessing it catches the edge.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it does.
So Utley has been the beneficiary of a couple of missed calls. Of course, he put one in the seats in the 3rd inning.
I think the way he crowds the plate sometimes confuses and crosses up an umpire.
Certainly changes the perspective.
Now, Howard hasn't homered. He did hit a 3-run homer against Andrew Miller in Philly. He's hit 12 home runs against left-handed pitching this year.
Here's a question that I don't know if you can answer this, and it may be one to go ask an umpire tomorrow. But with Howard here, and even more so with Utley, and you got a lefty, a big, tall, lanky lefty like Miller. When he throws that breaking ball that starts at the hitter's shoulder, and an umpire set up inside, does the umpire actually lose sight of the pitch at that point?
Well, there's got to be an area where, they're not going to see everything, especially if they're set up way inside or set up outside. I think we saw that to a degree in Washington with the Pudge, the way he was moving around a lot.
Got him picked off. Gabby made a tough catch, and there's no throw. Gabby was not in a position to make a throw. He had to make a lunging catch to keep that ball from getting by him, and that would have meant Utley would be over at 3rd base.
Yeah, it's going to go as a stolen base. Utley just going on first movement The throw, Gabby had to reach for it. By the time he came back, Utley got such a great jump. Yeah, he made a good choice by not throwing. Yeah, because so many times, now you watch the home plate umpire, Sam Holbrook, if he stays inside, you have to figure there's an area away from him. See right there? See, right there, that's a perfect example. That's close to being a strike, but I don't know how you can see it if he's set up way inside like that. And we're not putting the blame on Holbrook. Most umpires do this. That's a pretty good pitch.
It is.
But you can't see it if you're way inside like that.
Well, he called it apparently low, but you can see it's at the knees and it's on the edge of Fox tracks.
Then you had the old American League umpires years ago with the big balloon chest protector. They would position themselves right behind the catcher. They had a little harder time seeing the low pitch. And that's why it was always said the National League was a low ball league and the American League was a high ball. You had high strikes in the American League because they had that big chest protector. And the National League umpires had the inside protector. They could see the low pitches a little better. Now everything's kind of melded together.
Yeah, there are no National League or American League umpires. There are just umpires. Miller thought that was a strike.
He's getting a little frustrated. The guy's a big guy, and it's where it crosses the plate. It's not where Brad Davis catches it. So you say to yourself, now if I elevate that curveball, it's in a great hitting area for Jason Worth.
Counts 2-1.
A couple of frustrating at-bats in facing Utley and Howard, who he threw some real good pitches to.
That's a good pitch. Worth hit a ball out to right field, down the line that just got inside the foul pole. That was back in the second. Worth right now is having a conversation with Holbrook.
I don't know what the heck he could be complaining about. He got a break on that first pitch.
There's that breaking ball that hung up there. Morrison approaches, skips under his glove. Utley's going to score. Howard on his way to third. The throw, Hanley doesn't go after the throw, and it ends up in the dugout, and another run will score. I'm not sure what Hanley was doing. He was covering third, but he didn't go after the throw. It was wide of the bag.
Well, I tell you what, Logan Morrison is going to be charged with 2 errors on this play. And the bottom falling out of this inning.
Here's a look.
Here comes the base hit. Logan charges, the ball stays down. He gets an error right there. 1 run came in to score anyway. Now he throws. I don't think Hanley could have gotten it.
I don't think he could have either. You're right.
I think he was surprised that he was throwing. He really came up and threw blindly.
Yep.
And no one was there, so he's charged with another error there.
Yeah, watching the replay, you're right. There's no way Hanley gets that ball.
Yeah, it's a single and an RBI. The error allowing Worth to second, and another error allowing Howard to score. So a tough sequence for Logan Morrison in left field.
And on that play, Miller's initial reaction is to back up home plate, because that's where the play that's where the play is going to be. So he's not able to back up third base. It's been a tough night for Lomo out there in left. Now it's Ibanez. And a strike.
No, for a while the pitch count was in pretty good shape for Andrew Miller. All of a sudden he's gotten up to 86 with the mess here in this inning.
Davis held on to that. Not an easy play for the catcher. with 2 outs. And here comes Ruiz, who is 2 for 2 with a 2-run homer.
So the guy that the Marlins have held in check pretty well this year, Jason Worth, has a couple of hits, 1 a home run, and 2 RBIs tonight.
And for the Marlins, they need Andrew Miller to suck it up and give them at least another inning.
Well, he's the second hitter up next inning. But you're right, if he only goes 5, then that means he'll have to get 4 innings from that bullpen. And then you're not sure about Mendez. Remember, he had to leave that game in Philadelphia when he was running to first base on his base hit. He said his quad cramped up. You know, you're not sure how that's going to react in his second major league start. You don't know how he's going to perform against the Phillies again.
That's another ball hit by Ruiz off the wall. Morrison plays it on a hop. Ruiz is going to settle for an RBI single. And the Philly fans that are here serenading Chooch.
Right out over the plate, and Chooch, a hot hitter all over it, hitting over 330 in his last 40 games.
Now Valdez. This part of the order has been tough on Miller. Ruiz and Valdez combined are 5 for 5. The 7 and 8 hitters.
Yeah, it's one thing to worry about the Victorinos, Utleys, Howard, and then you get burned by the guys down at the bottom of the order.
Ground ball short. Hanley has it, waits for Ugla. And a messy inning for the Fish. 3 runs for the Phillies. A 7-0 lead now.
NL East, 18 games remain for the Phillies and the Braves, with the Phillies leading the Braves by just a game. And all 18 of those games are against opponents in the NL East, including 6 between the Phillies and the Braves in a 3-game series to end the season between the two in Atlanta. Also interesting, guys, is the fact that the Phillies have won 15 of their last 20 contests against NL East opponents and have won each of their last 6 series against them. So they're playing pretty well against their division opponents this year. It should be a good stretch as we head into the end of the season, guys.
Yeah, and who knows? It might be one or the other or both in the postseason.
And what an emotional weekend it will be in Atlanta. And we went through all the scenarios that could happen in that weekend about wild card, winning the division, and then also the last weekend of the regular season for Bobby Cox and the Atlanta Braves. As he will step down after this year.
Brad Davis takes down low. Jay Bente is in the bullpen.
Well, that's why the Marlins are desperately going to need another arm in the bullpen as we go into tomorrow and also Wednesday.
If you've missed the open of the show, not only the Marlins lacking in starters, that one's popped out in the shallow center. With Ricky Nolasco out for the year, Josh Johnson shut down for the rest of the year. Chris Volstad and Alex Sanabia are serving their suspensions. Sanabia is scheduled to go on Friday night against the Cubs.
They'll not be ready until the weekend in the series against the Cubs.
But the Marlins are also thin in the bullpen because of the 3 tight games in Washington. Jose Veras and Clay Hensley pitching in all 3. Both of those guys unavailable tonight. And Will Oman's elbow is still tender. He's not available tonight.
So basically, the Marlins are so outnumbered in this one, they don't even have a left-hander to match up against the lefties the Phillies have, and 2 quick outs here by Blanton.
Couple pop-ups. Luna popping up as a pinch hitter. Top of the order, and Emilio Bonifacio. Tommy, there are times when we do a Phillies telecast that on occasion we drop the word bandbox in.
No, we haven't used that term yet.
And I'm not going to use it.
I've used home run park.
I'm not going to use it regarding the Phillies, but I will use it regarding the Reds tonight as they lead Arizona 5-2. There have been 6 home runs hit in that ball game, in that ballpark, the Great American Ballpark.
Great American Bandbox.
Thank you. Jay Bruce has hit 2. He's got 20. Drew Stubbs is homered. Joey Votto has hit his 34th. And Arizona's 2 runs have both come on home runs.
Well, that's right. It's just as small when Arizona bats.
Miguel Montero and Ryan Church. 5-2 Reds in the 4th. Now the Cardinals are in action tonight. They're just underway and scoreless against the Cubs.
I mean, Albert Pujols hadn't homered yet. He hit 2 last night against Atlanta.
St. Louis is trailing Cincinnati by 6 games in the Central.
Yeah, Pujols hit both of his home runs against Tim Hudson. Cardinals beating Hudson and the Braves last night. 39 for Albert.
Joe Blanton has been spectacular tonight for the Phillies.
her 3 years ago to the day. She was in an incident on duty. Her partner was shot and killed. She was shot with an AK-47. Been recovering ever since. How many surgeries?
17.
17 surgeries on her leg. And today's your first day back. This must be a wonderful day, a sad day, a happy day all at once. Is it?
It's a lot of mixed emotions today, but a happy one.
It's good to see you. I know your fallen partner's widow was here tonight, and she got a chance to go on the field with you and watch you throw the ball to her. And how strong she must have been, too, doing all this.
She's been amazing. I'm sure it's been a tough 3 years for her as well. And like I said, she gives me inspiration. Jose from above gives me inspiration.
Jose Somahana was your partner. Talk about this return for you and all the 17 surgeries, the rehab. Did you ever think you wouldn't be able to return to active duty?
Never. I never had a doubt in my mind. And I know that Jose was every day a little voice telling me you can keep going and keep going. And I never gave up.
You got a chance to throw a nice strike tonight, too.
Yes, I did.
Was that nerve-wracking?
Not too much. I'm not really a nervous person. And I did play a little softball, so that kind of helped.
You threw a great strike. The other thing is, her return today started, this morning, right?
This morning.
So this is what they call an off-duty detail, but you wanted to work tonight, too?
I wanted to work tonight.
So you're going to have a 15, 16-hour day, huh?
16-hour day. But it's a good day to come back, and I decided when I came back, I was coming back in full force.
Well, the force is happy to have you back, and so are the citizens. One last thing. You got a great applause from the crowd when you threw out that first pitch. How'd that make you feel?
Honored. Very honored and humbled that so many people support me.
All right. Well, we've seen your story. It's good to meet you, and congratulations on your return here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, that's Officer Jody Wright, guys. Let's go back to you.
That's a great story, Craig, and a great scene before the ball game tonight. Jay Bente has come in the ball game for the Fish, and the Phillies are treating him much like they did Andrew Miller. Joe Blanton singling.
They saw Bente a little bit. He had a couple of appearances in that series in Philadelphia. One outing at 2 innings. He pitched very well.
Victorino's 1 for 3. Bente's best pitch is his forkball. I think if you're a guy like Jay Bente, the guy you want to watch work for the Marlins and model yourself after is Brian Sanchez, because Sanchez has been able to get outs with the forkball. Victorino hammers that ball to right, bangs off the wall. And how many times do you see a guy as fast as Shane Victorino get just a single on a ball that hits the wall in this ballpark?
Not too often. Two things. Number one, he hit it so hard that he wasn't at first base. It hit the wall, and Mike Stanton was right there to get it back in a hurry. So you're right. Not too often. And the whole key with Bente, and we talked about it in Philadelphia, the forkball is his best pitch, but he has to have command of the fastball to set that up. And so far, he hasn't been able to do that.
Placido Polanco. He's 0 for 3, and Bente misses up and in. That's the secret to Sanchez's success. We saw him yesterday throw his average fastball. That may not, by Major League standards now,
upper 80s is average, yeah.
Well, on lower 90s
even
might
90
be average.
Sometimes is average, yeah.
He threw an 89, 90 mile an hour by Ryan Zimmerman yesterday. Marlins bullpen yesterday was outstanding in relief of Chris Volstad. Off the end of the bat and just over Hanley's glove, Polanco finds center field. Phillies have 3 hits. And an 8-0 lead.
The Phillies are doing what you expect a first-place team to do in a matchup like this. So many times you go into a mismatch, and I hate to say it, but that's what this is. Andrew Miller has not pitched well. These guys have hit him well. Phillies have a lot of good hitters. The bullpen is hurt. There are a lot of guys not available. The bench is outnumbered, so it's a mismatch. And so a lot of times teams struggle in those types of games, but the Phillies are doing what you would expect them to do.
Chase Utley.
And unfortunately, there are 2 more games in this series.
Homered to right. He drives this one to left. Morrison back. Lomo is there, makes the catch. And of course, the Phillies have Cole Hamels and Roy Halladay lined up to pitch the next 2 games of the series.
Yeah, and Hamels shut out the Marlins in his 7-8 innings the other night in Philly. And Halladay has thrown a perfect game off this mound.
Ryan Howard now.
But as they say, Rich, the common phrase saying of the last few years, it is what it is, and you have to play the games.
Somehow I don't think that would make a great slogan for a team. You know how teams
Yeah,
oftentimes affix slogans for their years?
Yeah. So-and-so baseball. It is what it is.
Here's the 0-1. And it's inside from Bente. You know, the amazing thing about the Marlins is here we are. The Major League season essentially has 3 weeks left in it. The Marlins are without their top 2 pitchers.
It's you know, because we've talked about this before the game. It's incredible that the Marlins are 4 games over coming into this game. Absolutely incredible. A lot has to do with that man right there, Edwin Rodriguez. He's held it all together.
You've got a bullpen that has struggled all year long.
And he feels, by the way, just the way he looks there, his hands are tied. Can't do anything about it. Just like that. Ball club came into play tonight, 39 and 33 under Edwin Rodriguez.
Howard pulls a ground ball into right field. That's a base hit. Going to send the runner. Victorino coming. Stanton's throw is wide of the plate. And the Phillies stretch their lead to 9-0.
Well, that RBI number 100 for Ryan Howard. He reaches that level again. Couldn't quite have the shift in full bore. I think with nobody on base, this is right to Dan Uggla. But with a couple of men on base, got to play a little bit in double play territory, and Howard was able to sneak that one through.
So it's Worth now. He's homered and has an RBI single and is flied out. And Bente misses outside.
5th time in his career, by the way, for Ryan Howard with 100 RBIs.
Jay Bente is going to have to take his lumps out there for a couple of innings.
Well, you're right, and unfortunately, that's what's going to happen. Somebody's going to have to take one for the team, so to speak, and take their lumps.
Phillies have 2 runs across against Bente here on 4 hits. And he's faced just 5 hitters.
A little trouble commanding that fastball, and that's not allowed him to set up that forkball.
Doing 2.
I have a question, Rich. You know, as we...
I don't know if we have time for it, Tommy.
If we zero in, as we zero in on a possible 10-run game, did we add the squirrel in Washington, D.C. to the squirrel in Denver?
Oh, to the 10-run reel?
To the 10-run reel, yeah.
Not sure. Pop-up, Ugla on the outfield grass. And with one out, he'll make the catch. Polanco will go back to third. You mean the game-picking squirrel? The squirrel that made predictions on the scoreboard. It was quite accurate, by the way, with the teams that he had selected. Here comes Ibanez. Bente misses away. The Braves continue to shut out the Nationals 4-0 in the 7th. Derek Lowe is throwing a 4-hit shutout, so he's cruising.
We talked about how the Phillies have gotten on a nice roll since losing the first game of that doubleheader. Charlie Manuel's seen his club go 5-1, average 6.5 runs a game. Those numbers appear to be going upward, and hit .343 with runners in scoring position ever since the first game of that doubleheader.
Randy St. Clair on his way out to the mound, and this is the last guy you want to face now with the bases loaded, and that's Carlos Ruiz, who was 3 for 3 tonight. He's driven in 3, and he's absolutely crushed the Marlins this year.
Now remember, he spent some time on the disabled list with a concussion.
3 homers, 11 RBIs, an average of about .355 is Ruiz this year against the Fish.
So a tough night for the 26-year-old out of Evansville, Indiana, Jay Bente.
Purdue University. Ruiz, nice block by Brad Davis. Let's meet the Phillies. Placido Polanco, Ryan Howard, Miami's own Raul Ibanez. There was a guy wearing a shirt down below us, and it was hard to make out what the name was. It was a Phillies jersey. And at first it looked like it's just a bunch of letters. But on second look, it was R-A and then about 7 U's and then L. Raul.
Yeah, closer examination by us.
.30 pitch.
You look at Jay Bente's numbers coming up in the Marlins system, primarily, exclusively a bullpen pitcher and not a closer. He had a couple of saves.
Walks in a run, and it is 10-0. Edwin has finally relented, and the Marlins bullpen
So
is up.
this just kills the bullpen right here. Jose Seda is going to get ready.
Would be his second major league appearance. Ground ball. Tracy to his left gets the out at second, and it's 10-0. Phillies on top. Tito, you know,
this never happened with Raul.
Come on now, that's a slider in the outside corner. Come on now, Tito is doing a great job over here.
Good to see you, Tito.
Thank you, guys. It's always a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Yeah, we saw Tito down on the field talking to players, doing a little homework before the game. Cookie was down there, as always.
Absolutely. I think that was just one of those nights where everything is going right for the Phillies, and Wheeler could not hold them, you know, giving 3 long home runs. And it's just one of those nights that we have to go through. Yeah,
it's a real odd series, guys, coming into it, as Morrison is backed up by the fastball. With the loss of Josh Johnson, he's out for the rest of the season. Nolasco had his surgery, and the surgery, by the way, was minor and went very well. But then you got the 2 other pitchers who are serving their suspensions. Not that they would be able to pitch tonight either. So it's really an odd series, and it comes at a bad time with the Phillies coming in first place.
Well, absolutely. You know, the club that is leading the league right now, the division, and then you don't want to use your bullpen too much tonight because you got that problem that's going to happen on Wednesday. After tomorrow, we're going to have to depend from that bullpen. So let's hope that we can get this right out of the...
Oh, man, Logan Morrison. A bolt to right. That ball was about 15 rows up.
We got some action.
Well, this kid's going to be one great ball player, no question about it.
For Morrison, his second of the season.
He's got all the tools to be very successful here, many, many years in the big leagues.
Well, it's the best swing we've seen tonight by anybody off Joe Blanton, who's been on the top of his game. Halfway up into those seats in right center.
Well, at least we're saving right now the shutout, so that's a good start.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
That was an 81-mile-an-hour changeup that he hit out.
Well, he's been throwing a lot of off-speed tonight, you know, using that fastball high and then the slider and then the changeups. And with this score that is right now, you know, 10-1, he can do that. You don't have to really force yourself but to throw strikes.
All right, guys, have a good show. If it gets any worse, we're coming back for a good Philly story from you, Cookie. All right?
Okay. Richard.
All right.
All right, Tom.
All right, guys.
You got it.
Yeah, the Marlins haven't had a whole lot of good swings, and Logan Morrison absolutely crushed that ball. I had a great conversation. Both of us have had fun, and we always do when we talk with Charlie Manuel. Sat down next to Charlie in the visitor's dugout before the game. He was watching, and at the time Mike Stanton was taking batting practice. Couldn't say enough things, good things about Mike and Logan Morrison. And Charlie watches them as a hitting coach because he was such a good hitting coach with Cleveland. And we got talking about young hitters, and he loves Stanton and Morrison. I said, what are the young hitters have you really loved? And the first name he brought up was Manny Ramirez. He said, look at Manny's rookie ball numbers. In like 60 games, he hit 330 and had 20-some home runs. And then he said Albert Bell wasn't bad either. Jim Thome was there. So he's been around a lot of good young hitters.
Yeah, Charlie, we talked about it as a manager in the Indians system. Had a lot of those guys coming through, and then was the Indians hitting coach for their World Series years. And of course, when Charlie started his managerial stint, I believe it was with, well, it was a variety of clubs, but I believe he was managing the Twins AAA team. Here's the 2-2. There's a liner in the left center field. That ball's going to the wall, and Hanley's got himself extra bases. So the Marlins have finally solved Blanton with a homer and a double. They're on the board, and Hanley's in scoring position.
Well, we'll keep our eye on Blanton and see if he mixes it up and changes things a little bit. But Blanton with 7 strikeouts. Blanton's career high in strikeouts is 11, and it was against the Marlins. So he's always pitched well against them, 4-2 in his career.
Charlie managed Edwin Rodriguez. when Edwin was in the minor leagues. Was it Charlie that told us that his first manager in baseball was Jack McKeon?
Jack McKeon. Jose Contreras getting loose for Philadelphia.
Douglas walked and struck out. The Marlins finally have a home run against Joe Blanton, at least the current set of Marlins.
You know who has a home run against Joe Blanton? Josh Johnson.
Well, that's one of the areas of JJ's game that really suffered with the back injuries. He's had it for a while.
And he acknowledged that when we spoke to him. That it really bothered him to swing. And you could see that. He was taking a lot of pitches.
Uggla fouls it back. Do you think home run number 30 has been in Dan Uggla's mind for the last couple of weeks?
I'm not one to go that way. I don't think, if it is, I don't know if it's bothered him. He's gone a little over 50 at-bats without a home run. Guys like Mark McGwire and Barry Bonds went longer than that. A-Rod went longer than that.
Hanley is going to get caught in a rundown between second and third. And he is tagged out. Uggla's at first. Timeout for the Coors Light Freeze Cam. This was the Victorino bat. Good move by Charlie and Pete McCann.
Look at all those manly men, professional athletes, towering away from a flailing bat into the dugout.
Chase Utley giving that cross-boot Coors Light Freeze Cam look.
Yeah, the whole crew down there. Pete McCann, Rich Doobie, Greg Gross, Davey Lopes.
Gabby swinging the ball in the dirt.
Gabby's been a little off balance tonight.
You forgot Milt Thompson down there, the hitting coach. Oh, excuse me. You're right. No longer the hitting coach.
Greg Gross.
Thank you. I did not see a Sam Perlazzo down there.
Well, the Phillies were out hitting. Oh, no, Lopes was in there. No, that's right.
So Sam's in there somewhere.
Sam's down there somewhere. Veteran big league coach.
Gabby yanks that one foul.
And manager.
Yes.
You think about the staff that Charlie has. Davey Lopes managed a little bit.
Milwaukee.
You have Pete McCann managed. Sam Perlazzo. A veteran staff for Charlie Manuel.
There's
Davey
Lopes.
Greg Gross, an outstanding pinch hitter.
One, two. Gabby a soft liner to center, and it falls in front of Victorino. So Marlins have 3 hits in this inning. The homer by Morrison, the double by Hanley, and now Gabby a single.
Yeah, and not that you never know, but not good base running by Hanley in that situation. Prior to Gabby's at bat to go on that ground ball hit in front of him.
Check in with Allison Williams. Allison?
Kind of interesting when you look at Mike Stanton's numbers at home versus away from Sun Life Stadium. Away from Sun Life Stadium, he's hitting over 300. 15 of his 20 home runs have come on the road. He also has 36 RBIs. Here at the Life, though, he's hitting just 152 with 5 home runs. And while that number may stand out, I talked to Jeff Conine about it. He said it's probably not a large enough sample size to really make much of it. What is bothering Mike Stanton, though, is his streakiness. He's trying to be more consistent, regardless regardless, though, guys, he is continuing to impress people throughout the bigs with how hard he is hitting the ball. I was talking to Charlie Manuel earlier, and he said he was chatting with someone about Stanton, and they were asking him about him, and the guy pointed out that he really just hits balls by infielders, and Charlie said, no, he hits them through them. Rich, Tommy?
Stanton getting under that one, driving into right. Ugla tagging, ends up at third. And Gabby at first base. Blanton trying to get himself through this sixth inning. He's at 111 pitches. Here's Tracy now. Chad stands in with 2 outs here in the bottom of the sixth.
Kind of a weird game for Blanton. I had to look up there when you said 111 pitches. The way he's kind of cruised to the first 5 innings, really surprised his pitch count has gotten up that high.
Well, remember that in the first inning, the Marlins forced him to throw 26 pitches.
He had the third inning, 21. He struck out 3, though, in that third inning and walked about it.
Nice catch.
Good play by Seda down there.
Oh for 2 in this ball game against Blanton. Struck him out. Tracy didn't like the call. Blanton gets through the sixth. Logan Morrison, second big league homer. Play Billy Bingo for your chance to win a Marlins Dry Performance shirt. Courtesy of Coca-Cola. 10,000 fans get a bingo card. 2,500 will win. Jose Seda becomes pitcher number 3 for the Fish.
And he'll face Greg Dobbs, who's going to be pinch hitting for Blanton. Every once in a while, you'd love to see one of these young relievers just come out, take the bull by the horns, and give Edwin a couple of good innings and help out that bullpen.
Greg Dobbs. Then you got the top of the order in Victorino, along with Placido Polanco.
And with all the extra men Charlie has, another inning, he may make a few moves.
Dobbs this year against the Fish, 0 for 13. Been sent down to the minor leagues a couple of times this year, trying to recapture the great year that he had in 2008. He was the primary weapon as far as a pinch hitter. Dobbs turns on one, Stanton goes back, and it's gone. And just like that, Phillies have another home run, and the lead is 10 again.
Well, you know, in the minor leagues, you fall behind 2-0 and get away with a hard fastball. Guys up here feast on stuff like that. And even though it's been a struggle for Greg Dobbs, he feasts on this fastball 2-0.
Victorino takes a fastball for a strike.
Not a lot of pinch hits, but his second pinch hit home run of the year.
Our cracked staff was scrambling in the truck with the Phillies up 10 when Morrison hit the homer. You know, if you could bounce a pitch across the plate for a strike, that would have been a called strike. I mean, watch this, Tommy. I think, is it on Fox Tracks? Did Fox Tracks pick that up as a strike? Yes! Oh, it picked it up at the bottom. There it is.
It picked it up when it bounced.
Victorino pulls one into the seats because if you're up 10 or down 10, the 10-run reel becomes in play. And the crack staff was busy loading the 10-run reel when Morrison hit a homer, and so they had to stand down. But now they're scrambling again. And we're told the 10-run reel may have a little different theme to it tonight. We always thrive on the offbeats.
Yeah.
And a little bit of comedy, a little bit of fun in the 10-run reel.
Hopefully to keep you informed and entertained.
We may have a little bit of that tonight, but the crack staff is telling us they may pull out some of the all-time Marlin moments out of the archives. Not like the time A.J. Burnett threw the ball through the window of the truck, but there may be a Levon Hernandez, I love you, Miami. Might be some World Series highlights from 97 or 2003.
I think those are the kind of moments that you like to see when you're down 10 runs.
Right, the whole comedy.
The happy memory moments.
Yeah, the comedy thing is, I mean, while entertaining, stings a little bit.
Jack McKeon's press conference making the decision to go with Josh Beckett on 3 days rest on his 4th day, as opposed to saving him for Game 7.
I think, as part of the 10-run reel, we should call Jack at home and not tell him who we are.
And what we could do, that's a great idea. Now I'm really starting to think what we could do with so many years in the game of baseball. Just start throwing out names and have Jack embellish a story, throw out Charlie Manuel. Different names. And Jack would be able to come up with great stories.
I guess we would have to tell Jack, though, who we were and that we were on the air just so there were no FCC complications. 2-2.
You know what the crack staff always likes to do to me, though?
Stanton over, and he's there and makes the catch.
They like to goad me and push my buttons. I'm getting information from the crack staff now that tonight in that Washington Nationals Atlanta Braves game, Nyjer Morgan is 2 for 3 with a double. He's still playing. When is he going to serve a suspension? See what they like to do to me?
See, I thought we were past that when the Marlins finished their season series yesterday with the Nationals. He's in suspended animation right now. We could also ask Jack to pronounce some of the more intricate names that he had as a manager.
You could say big right-handed, hard-throwing closer, reliever. Juan
Benitez. How about the tall outfielder? And he would say Carsonon.
Incarceron, yeah. Big Choi.
Big Choi.
And I think Paul DeLuca.
Here's the 2-0.
Jack, where are you when we need you? Well, we know where you are. You're up in North Carolina.
Jose Seda. Well, we're going to find out what the crack staff's got for us as soon as we go to break, because it's a 10-run reel now. Seda's given up a homer to Dobbs. Has retired the next 2.
There are little things that managers do. I always used to love what Jim Leland used to do. A lot of managers don't do this. When a last-minute replacement in the lineup, like let's say Moises Alou, something happened and all of a sudden he was in the original lineup, couldn't play. Well, he would substitute whoever, let's say John Cangelosi, and put him right in the same spot, put him hitting cleanup. You know, instead of changing the order all around and having Cangelosi hitting somewhere else, he would just put him straight up, and that was it. And Jim Leland would take his chances with that lineup.
We could call Jim Leland tonight, too, because the Tigers are off.
Yeah, the Tigers are off. It's a good game being played in St. Pete tonight. CC Sabathia and David Price.
The Rays have 1 hit. The Yankees have 3 hits. There are no runs in that game, and it's the 8th inning. This one has a little different feel to it. Seda misses down low. And it's 2-0.
You live on the edge when you throw 2-0 pitches, especially to guys like Ryan Howard.
Howard has an RBI single. Sitting on 29 homers. Now has 100 RBIs. All right, unwritten rules, Tommy. 3-0 count. You're up by 10.
Probably not. You probably won't see Ryan Howard swing.
Seda throws a strike. And now it's 3-1.
Definitely won't see Chase Utley try to steal.
Howard went after the 3-1 pitch. 3-2 now. if it makes you feel any better, Niger Morgan and the Nationals are losing 4-0 in the 9th. I think tomorrow's the day he gets it, Tommy. I really do.
Stop
it. Here's a 3-2. And he struck him out. So Seda gives up the homer to Dobbs, our first offering of the 10-run reel. Oh, we have to start with the Expo squirrel, but we got some surprises for you when we return.
Worth to the opposite field. Chase Utley hammered one into right field for a home run. Carlos Ruiz Chooch takes one deep. He's had quite a season against the Marlins this year. And then a little Joe Blant. Blant was on his game and used a lot of changeups early on. Really had the Marlins hitters off balance and chasing a lot of pitches out of the zone. So Blant in his 6th inning struck out 8 and gave up just the 1 run. Speaking of home runs, that 1 run was a blast by Logan Morrison.
Visit LandRoverUSA.com. Brian Bocock is at shortstop. And Jose Contreras is on the mound. Contreras to Brad Davis. Davis hits a pop-up. You got Wilson Valdes slid over to play third base.
Yeah, so the player coming out is Placido Polanco. He'll rest for the rest of the evening. So there's Valdez at third.
Oh, 2. Bocock and Valdez. All right, 10-run reel. We often get emailed about the longest home run ever hit in this ballpark, and here it is for your viewing pleasure. Tommy, were you here for this?
Yeah, it was the slider. There's the slider hanging from Kevin Brown, and Andres Galarraga took it a long way, well over halfway up. And people couldn't believe it. About halfway up. And those blocked off seats, and it wasn't down the line in left field. It was more left center.
What was the measurement on that? Was it 515?
515, I believe. It was over 500 feet, and well, it should have been.
Scott Cousins. All right, so we've seen a couple from the 10-run reel.
Yeah, that's nice. Scott Cousins, by the way, has had himself some nice at-bats and made a nice impression.
Yes, he has. And That's one of the things that a young player has to be able to show if he's going to get to the big leagues and not be a starter right away. And that's the ability to pinch hit. That's the ability to come in and contribute. And we've seen guys really struggle with that, guys that don't have a lot of major league time, and obviously Cousins does not. Because in the minor leagues, they're always starting. They don't pinch hit. They're always playing.
Brian Peterson has had trouble with that role in his times up here.
Cousins fouls that one off. I've been told that the next 10-run reel offering is an unpleasant one for Cubs fans, so turn away if you don't want to see it. Cousins swings and misses.
Cubs fans, please turn your head from the screen.
Oh, yeah. Moises Alou.
You know what? The other guy in the gray sweatshirt had just as much to do with it.
Amen.
It sure looked like it.
And you know what? If the ball's 5 feet further back, I'll bet you the guy in the dark sweatshirt goes after the ball as well.
And I've really noticed that in watching that. But the guy in front of Bartman had just as much to do with that.
Yet we don't know his name.
No.
Bonifacio fouls it back.
Trying to keep his hitting streak alive. Came into the game, the 8-game hitting streak, he was 17 for 34. So 17 for his last 37 now.
Contreras misses in. And it's 2-1. Atlanta has shut out Washington 4-0. 6-hit shutout. Derek Lowe goes 8 innings. Billy Wagner pitches the 9th. Lowe struck out 12 and walked nobody. Wagner struck out the side in the 9th.
15 strikeouts.
15 strikeouts for Atlanta pitching.
But Nigel Morgan was 2 for 3.
Let it go.
I can't.
I'm telling you,
I can't.
Tomorrow, Judge Judy, live at 3:30 Eastern, is going to bring the hammer down, Tom.
How about Judge Bull? Judge Bob Watson. That was his nickname, Bull.
I think tomorrow is the day. 3-2 coming. Slaps it to third. Valdez across. And Contreras works a 1-2-3 7th. with a twist. Let's go back to 2003. Josh Beckett tags him out.
See, good memories. Good memories. What a night. Yankee Stadium.
Jorge Sosa comes out of the Marlins pen.
You know, and it's amazing when you think about it, seeing that 2003 World Championship banner alongside 1997. That's how many the Phillies have won.
And the Phillies obviously have been around since the 1800s.
Yeah, 1980 and 2008.
Here's John Mayberry. John Mayberry's father, the big left-handed hitting first baseman of the Kansas City Royals. And one of my favorite guys in the game is a guy whose name was always mispronounced because of John Mayberry, and that's John Mabry.
A former Marlin.
Yes.
John Mabry.
I got to know him in Seattle.
Great guy.
Mabes was a really good guy.
Outstanding.
And one of those guys that had a terrific perspective on the game and where he was. Sosa strikes out Mayberry.
A good guy off the bench to get a base hit, left-handed hitter.
Jaguar performer of the game. Joe Bland. Eight strikeout night for Blanton. Gave up just the one run on the Morrison homer.
Ben Francisco now pinch hitting. So Charlie Manuel unloading a few guys to get some at-bats for them. Give some other guys a little rest, as expected.
Two and 0 to Francisco. Sosa misses down low. Marlins obviously hoping that Alberto Mendez has the same success that he did the last time he faced the Phillies tomorrow night, because Cole Hamels has really been dealing, and he goes for Philadelphia.
Yeah, Mendez in 6 innings. And remember, he was going to go out and pitch a 7th. But he got that base hit, and just before he got to the first base bag, kind of came up lame, but it was more of a cramp in that quad area.
It was his first hit
ever
as a professional.
Yeah. Now, the tough part here, and you know, you hate to, but you have to, and that's why there's no choice. Waste Jorge Sosa. He can give you more than one inning because of the prospects of the next couple of games.
So if you use Sosa, say, for the 8th and the 9th, you probably lose him for tomorrow, but you might be able to get him back Wednesday.
You get him back Wednesday. And the one thing about Sosa, he'll generally come in and throw strikes.
Francisco hits it hard into center field. Bonifacio over to get it. 10-run reel tonight. We're reliving big moments in Marlins history. We were talking about Jeff Conine, All-Star game. This was the home run.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a backup slider from Bob Ojeda?
Jeff Conine always had that short.
Or is it Steve Ontiveros? Who threw that?
Ontiveros. Yeah. Ontiveros, a right-hander. Ojeda, a lefty. Niner could tell us the count.
Jim Holley pointing out that Ontiveros was a Wolverine from Michigan.
Yeah, but whatever Jim Holley says tonight doesn't matter. He's still reeling after that awful finish to the Lions game.
Calling a strike to Ruiz, who has driven in 4 runs. A bases loaded walk in the 6th. Sosa misses outside.
See, I would think, Rich, we'd get some positive feedback on our 10-run reel tonight. Some good moments to remember.
Well, we could throw that out as a topic for Email Tuesday tomorrow.
Yeah, on a night when you're getting blasted by 10 runs.
Do you want to
you want good thoughts?
Do you want to see Mr. Red fall off the cart and have his head roll off? Or do you want to see Jeff Conine become an All-Star Game MVP? Do you want to see Bobby and Gordy chest bump? Or do you want to see Josh Beckett in the last out of the World Series?
Good topic. And that's right. It is Email Tuesday tomorrow night.
Do you want to see A.J. throw that 98-mile-an-hour fastball through the window of the truck? Don't answer that. Here's the pitch. It's in the air, center field. Bonifacio is there. Squeeze it. And he makes the catch. Here it comes. In front of Paul DeLuca.
High pop foul on a play. The Yankees have an 8-1 lead over the Indians in the 4th. Arube is the pitcher for the Yankees today, and he has an 8-1 lead.
Well, there's some controversy here as to how you pronounce his name. It's either Arabu or Arabu. It comes a different way just about every time. We'll call him Arabu, and whatever it is, he's got a big lead, and he's on to his 2nd win, apparently.
Oh, it's a great save by Steve Stone.
Great save. Yeah. Stoney came through.
Logan Morrison is up. Hideki Arabu, by the way. Morrison, and then Hanley, and then Ugla, David Herndon.
He has come on after a 1-2-3 inning by Contreras. Ben Francisco, he stayed in the game. He's in left. Mayberry Jr. is in right.
Morrison gets hit by Herndon. And so Lomo is on his way down to first. Lone bright spot for the Fish tonight, a Coors Light Cold Hard Blast. Change up from Joe Blanton, and Morrison spanked it. His second home run of the season.
I think that swing alone, as he tries to jog off that hit by pitch, that swing alone answers. I know a lot of people have said, well, Logan Morrison has just one home run, now he has two. He doesn't show a lot of power. Well, I'll tell you what, when you see that swing, you understand that as he figures it out and in the next year or two, because he's a quick learner, he's going to hit 15, 20, 25 home runs. There's no question about it.
Braves have won tonight. Phillies on top here. So it looks like the Phillies and the Braves will go in tomorrow in the same spots as today, with the Phillies a game up over Atlanta. And the Braves and the Phillies will turn their attention after this game to the West Coast.
Yeah, game just getting underway in Denver. Of importance, the Rockies hosting the Padres.
The Rockies are 2.5 back of the wild card. The Braves are the wild card leader. The Giants and the Padres are a game back in the wild card. San Diego at Colorado. San Francisco does not play tonight. St. Louis 6.5 back in the wild card. Marlins are actually 8 back, but at this score, at this stage, that's turning into a 9. Hanley takes outside, counts 2-2. Yeah, Padres 2-0. They got their 2 in the first, and it's in the fourth now. Hanley goes down on a breaking ball. Here comes Ugla. Ugla tonight is 0 for 2. He's walked, struck out, bounced into a fielder's choice.
You know, you asked me earlier in the game about Dan Ugla. Is the thought of 30 home runs is on his mind? Is it affecting him? I think we've seen Dan over the years, and we know he's a streaky hitter. And he's had streaks like this, I'm sure, of over 50 at-bats without a home run. Then we see him get on a streak, and he'll hit him in bunches.
But he had 8 hits on the road trip. That's a close call for Gabby. And we've seen, the last 2 games here in this ballpark, we saw Morrison hit a week ago yesterday.
Yeah, Lomo had the flashbacks right there.
We saw Polanco almost get hit by a bat in the Victorino strikeout.
Morrison talking to Ryan Howard, I guarantee, about that exact thing, and probably about the bat that Victorino let go that sent Polanco flying.
Ugla takes out, and it's 1-2. But hitters like to stand back close to the plate to get a good look at the pitcher. There are some ballparks where the on-deck circle is a little further away than this ballpark.
And there are some that's a little closer. Marlins new ballpark. Fans will be right on top of the action.
Two balls, two strikes. Cubs are beating the Cardinals 4-0 in the fifth. 6 back are the Cardinals of the Reds, who have a 7-2 lead now, and have hit another home run against Arizona. There goes! There goes number 30! The first second baseman in Major League history to have 4 30-homer seasons, and his name is Dan Uggla.
You knew it was a matter of time. He was probably saying, when am I going to get that hanging slider? It looked like he got one from Herndon, and he made it a no-doubter. 4 times. No other second baseman. Just incredible. Think about it. Think about all the second basemen that have played this game. There's that hanging slider. And Dan Uggla with an absolute poke.
So a little piece of history tonight for those of you that hung around. Who would have thought that a Rule 5 draft pick, whom nobody knew about, whose name no one could pronounce for the first 2 months in the big leagues, would set such a record as that?
Well, it looks like he does have a load off his back. That was number 19 in his career against the Philadelphia Phillies, too.
That's it. That's a great moment between a player and his manager.
Well, we know, and we certainly hope it happens, we know that things that we've heard, the club has talked to Dan Uggla and his agent.
Gabby hits that ball to left center field. It's a pretty deep. Victorino on the run, and he makes the catch.
About an extended contract. We don't know where they are, what talks are, if any, at this point. But I know you and I share the same feeling, and I think it's the same feeling of a lot of Marlins fans. Dan Uggla should play the rest of his games in the big leagues as a Marlin.
That's the first time in like 7 days that I haven't said something about cutting back.
He should attack that left field fence in the new ballpark.
Mike Stanton now. He takes a fastball for a strike. So Uggla's done it. First second baseman in Major League history with 4 30-homer seasons. And you think about the Joe Morgans and the Jeff Kents. Heck, the guy out at second base here tonight for the Philadelphia Phillies. You have to have power. You have to have durability.
You know, he's also had the 4 30-home run seasons have been consecutive. Because his rookie year, Dan hit 27. And then 31, 32, 31, and now at 30.
Yeah, I know. You look like Will Smith in Hit.
Stanton with the count 1-2. Stanton drives one to center. That ball's hit well. Bangs around in the corner there. And Mike has got himself a double. That's another one of those balls that Stanton hits that it doesn't get very high off the ground, and you're expecting an outfielder to make the play, and the outfielder just watches it sail over his head.
Hey, the best look I had was Victorino. Watch how quickly Victorino, right there, he gives up because he knows he's not going to catch it. It got over his head that fast. And then racky-tacked around in that triangle out there. And that ball was scorched by Mike Stanton. Wow. So for Mike Stanton, that's double number 20. So 20 doubles, a triple, and 20 home runs.
Chad Tracy with 2 outs here in the 8th.
See, that's why we try to keep you around with the 10-run reel. So you don't miss things like Dan Uggla's 30th home run.
Two and 0. And I would expect among the phone calls and text messages he gets tonight, a certain hairless outfielder now on the West Coast will be checking in. There's a drive. That one's going to get to the wall. Tracy drives in Stanton.
Herndon has not fooled many. There have been some hard hit balls in this inning. The home run, the double, this double by Chad Tracy. I would expect another text or phone call from his other manager, Freddie Gonzalez.
Probably Jim Presley.
Jim Presley worked with him. Saw him early on. Saw the pluses, saw the minuses. Let's focus on those pluses.
Chad Durbin's warming up in the bullpen. 11-4. Phillies on top. Marlins making noise here in the 8th. Brad Davis is up. Brian Sanchez in the pen.
Brad Davis had an infield base hit back in the 2nd inning.
Herndon misses low and inside. And I think much like the Marlins with their bullpen, Charlie Manuel was hoping that Herndon could bring this one home for the Phillies. But now he has to get Durbin up.
Yeah, this is probably not going the way Charlie had it mapped out in his head.
Count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now Orlando Cabrera joined the home run parade in Cincinnati, with Jay Bruce hitting 2. Joey Votto and Drew Stubbs also homering. 7-2 Reds in the 8th. Busted bat. Valdez throws him out. Little piece of history for the Fish. And a big piece of history for Dan Uggla. His 30th. This gentleman had that same sign in Washington, D.C., ready to go. Uggla provides him with a moment to use it.
And just to help you with a little math, also number 151 of his career.
The all-time leader in Marlins history. Ross Glode against Sosa. Glode, the former Fish, has had a solid year for the Phillies. Glode was a member of the 2005 World Champion White Sox, but did not appear in the postseason. So he has a great chance to get to the postseason for the first time. Stanton is there. Mike makes the catch.
Yeah, Ross Glode has had himself a solid career and will continue to extend it with his versatility. Outfield, first base, excellent pinch hitter.
Here comes Victorino. Yeah, you know a guy is versatile. If you're a baseball fan and you haven't been to the website baseballreference.com,
yeah, one of the best.
Go there and look up Ross Glode's career numbers as Victorino sends it into right center. Stanton comes on. Michael diving. Oh, what a catch! What a catch by Mike Stanton.
Now we know he can hit with power. We've seen that. And we've seen a very solid right field play. He's the only one that was going to get that. Bonifacio wasn't going to get there. And Mike Stanton lays out, hangs on as he crushes to the ground, and makes a nice play, especially appreciated by Jorge Sosa.
So here is Bocock for his first at bat. Anyways, go to baseballreference.com and look up Ross Glode's defensive statistics, because they list every game that a player plays in a different position. And Glode's defensive numbers, from the Cubs to the Rockies to the White Sox to the Royals to the Marlins to the Phillies. It takes more than all of your computer screen to see all of them. Fastball, and Bocock fouls it back. So an at bat for Bocock. Ryan Bocock out of Stetson University.
He actually originally drafted by the Giants.
And he's grounds it over to Tracy, who fires it over to first. trucker van. Who are you going to call? 1-877-MAROONY. By Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com. Or call 800-947-AUTO. Buy tobacco-free Florida. Escape the addiction of tobacco. Be free. Visit FloridaQuitline.com. 11-4, bottom of the ninth. The Phillies on top of the Fish. Danny Baez comes in to try to finish it for the Phillies. Mike Rivera is going to hit for the Fish.
Yeah, Mike's still looking for that first base hit as a Marlin in his 4 games, 0 for 10. And the prospects for the offense, knowing that tomorrow they'll face a guy who has a scoreless streak of 25 consecutive innings, Cole Hamels.
Rivera tapper towards third. And Mike thrown out. All those years of catching and taking a toll on Mike's speed.
Those catcher's legs take away those infield base hits. Another chance for Bonifacio to keep his hit streak alive. Haven't seen too many 0 for 4s from Bonifacio.
Now Emilio's had a real nice run. He fouls that pitch off. A couple strikeouts tonight. Joe Blanton was terrific. He opened the game for the Phillies with 6 innings, 5 hits, a run, 8 strikeouts through 113 pitches. One coming. Baez misses in. And the bottom of the 10th, scoreless, Yankees and Rays.
I would imagine the two big lefties are out of there, Sabathia and Price. They each went 8 innings.
Bonifacio walks, and here comes Logan Morrison. There was one streak that was stopped tonight, and that of the longest current streak in the majors for consecutive games played. And I don't think a lot of people would guess that Prince Fielder was the one that had that streak, and he was out with flu-like symptoms. It's also the longest in Brewers history. Morrison, it's a fair ball. Howard goes to second, gets an out there. And the throw to first is not in time. Robin Yount had 274 consecutive games. Brewers manager Ken Maka said the trainer called him about noon. And the Houston team doctor had him hooked up to an IV, but he was not well enough to play. South Florida Ford Spotlight, Dan Uggla with his 30th homer, first Major League second baseman with 4 30-homer seasons ever.
Well, it's great when you can tag that with ever.
Baez misses low. If you were to choose an MVP for the Marlins this year, and postseason awards certainly are right around the bend, those numbers are hard to overlook.
Yes, they are.
On base percentage over 360. He's approaching 30 doubles. He now has 30 homers. He has equaled his career high in RBIs now at 92. And a strike to Hanley. I think the only other guy that would be in the running, and I know you oftentimes don't like to lump pitchers into it, but Josh Johnson is another guy that...
And you'd have to throw Hanley in. He hasn't had the kind of year we expect from him, but he's had a very solid year.
Roller to third. Valdez showing off a strong arm. And in 2 hours and 58 minutes, the Phillies beat the Marlins 11-4. They knock out Andrew Miller early with 7 runs in 5 innings, including a flurry of home runs. They hit 3 against Miller. Chase Utley had 1. Jason Worth had 1. Carlos Ruiz had 1. And then Greg Dobbs knocked 1 in the seats off of Jose Seda. Marlins Live is coming up.